Welcome people to the afternoon live. My apologies on that crash on the previous one. I'm trying to get it set back up. Take a moment, drop in, people, as always. As you check in, do me a favor. Drop into the chat where you're checking in, what time of day it is, where you are. Let me know what's on your mind, people. Let me know what it is you're looking to do, what you're looking to achieve today. What are you looking to accomplish? What you been up to? What have you not been up to? Thank you for being here. Come on in, guys. As always, I'm here to share with you my experience, my journey, my growth. And I'm happy to have you guys be a part of it. So talk to me, guys. Tell me what's going on. Who do we have here today? As always, you know we come with the positivity, we come with the encouragement, we come with the understanding that the things that we do here are for a specific reason. The actions that we take, the life that we're living on this planet, the direction in which we are traveling requires principles and purpose. And without those principles and purpose, we are not able to achieve the things that we say we are going to achieve. But I'm letting you know right now, you're here, you have an opportunity to be a part of your own achievement, your own success, people. As always, as you drop in, do me a favor, put in where you're checking in from, what time of day it is, where you are. Glad to have you guys here as always. Let's chop it up a little bit, people. Let's chop it up. How are we doing? Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's the middle of the day. It is now 12:33. Got to go in here and edit this so it's got some information in it. I often just go up with no information, but we want to put some information in there so that people are able to find the stream. Thank you again for being here. Please, as you check in, go ahead, drop in where you're checking in from, what time of day it is, where you are. Alexander, what's going on? Yes, indeed, Alexander. How can I help you out? You're from Charlotte, North Carolina. Prior edits, welcome in. How can I help you out? What's going on, Alexander? I'm a financial guy, and as I help people understand the steps to take to maximize the earning and growth potential of their finances and to prepare for a legacy moving forward. Leonard, what is that? Leonard Darcel? How would you invest $4,000 a month with only debt is mortgage? What are your interests? So I'm not going to give you, so I'm not going to be one of these guys that say, hey, it's $4,000 a month. Let's put, 10% in the cryptocurrency, 27% in the NASDAQ. We're not going to do that. We're going to do something specific because the objective with that $4,000 a month is to pay it into your future, to grow it exponentially. That's what investing is, right? And so are you interested in investing anything into yourself? Are you interested in any type of work that you want to do, Alexander? Only debt is your mortgage. I get it, dude. If your only debt is your mortgage and you have $4,000 a month to invest, the first thing I would invest in would be creating a business and an LLC to start to move your money and your mortgage over into, because currently your only debt is your mortgage, which is a liability for you. You're not just getting the LLC for the purposes of it being a protection against someone coming after your money, but you're getting the LLC because you can take your LLC and move all of your items over into it. They become assets, they pay it into your future, and you can continue to grow that. And when you learn how to do that, you can turn that into a business for your future. 2.5% balance, 265,000. 998. All right, so here's the thing. You have money, you have a savings account, and you have the balance that you're holding on to. But you are currently living your life as an individual, and you're trying to get your money to live its life as a business. So the key to money, and we understand this, these are simple principles. You don't have to have a degree in what the percentage is and the amortization and all blah, 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 blah. You don't need to have that. What you do need to understand is you want to have your money work for you. And so as your money grows, your money pays into your future. So the 2.5% balance, 265,000 is 998. Whatever you're doing with whatever you're looking to invest in, you want to do it in a way that it continues to grow. So primary investment, I would look, because we're going to all be dead at some point, and we want to pay this into our future, and we want to be able to use it and have something left over when we're done. Incorporate, move as many of your personal belongings and expenses over into an LLC so that you can reduce your greatest expenditure, your biggest cost, which is going to be your taxes. And once you do that, that LLC, that business can invest in any way that it wants to. But if you're still carrying a mortgage and you want to manage your life as a business and you're 42 years old, the first thing that you want to do is you want to incorporate yourself as a business, because your mortgage is costing you more than it should. Move as much of that mortgage over, or move that entire property over into the name of your LLC. Here's two major reasons. One, if you move that property over into the ownership of a company, you can pass it on to your children in the future, and they don't have to live in it, but it can still generate money for them. LLC will pay for itself. Truly, it will. Once you establish an LLC in the state of Maryland, the LLC is about $330 a year. By learning, once you have the buffer with your income, what you want to do is you want to reduce as many of your costs as you possibly can. If you can put that house into the name of an LLC, by moving, not if, but when you move your house over into the name of an LLC, that LLC's responsibility, or that LLC's job, is to rent that house out. You're still going to be paying your mortgage. You're just going to be paying it back to yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? So currently you're paying your mortgage, but it's going to a bank and you're not getting anything from it. You establish your LLC, you invest in your LLC takes its money, it goes out, and then it gets a cash, or it gets a cash advance to buy the house for cash, or it refinances the house, and you take the money out of that, and then you take it and you pass that through so that you're not getting taxed on that. And now that house is a property of the LLC, and you'll write off the associated expenses with it through the LLC. And every time you pay your mortgage every month, you're paying into your future. So the first thing to do, if you have $4,000, if you have $4,000 to pay into your LLC, or pay into to invest every month, then continue to grow that business. And that's why I asked what you're into, because if you have something specific that's important to you, or something that you want to invest in, or some type of work that you want to do, you still have the $4,000 and you have the ability to do it. Because when you take this $4,000 and you invest it into a business, the business itself is going to make money. Which is why one of the biggest things out right now are going to be Airbnbs. They're going to be acquiring property. The reason it's important to acquire property and acquire land is because it grows in value even if you don't do anything with it. and it allows for you to come back and take out more money to reinvest into the business, and then take out more money, and then you write off the taxes and you grow. Like, it's the biggest way to be able to do it without having to do anything, right? And now I have family members, I personally have properties that I own that I don't rent, I don't do anything with. If the property does nothing, if the property doesn't have anyone in it, it still gives me the advantages of being able to draw against it. It gives me the advantages of being able to take out a HELOC, and it's worth more as a business than it is as your personal property. So Alexander, if you have those funds and you're looking to go to work with your money, thank you very much, Alexander. If you're looking to go to work with that money, what it's going to give you the opportunity to do there is just understanding anything that you own in the hands of a business is going to have greater value than it is in your own hands, right? Because when a bank or any other company looks at this business, it's going to say this business has this asset, and this is an asset. It's not a liability. Your house is not an asset for you. It's a liability. You have to pay the insurance. You have to pay the taxes. You have to pay the mortgage. You have to pay the upkeep. You have to do all of these things. You don't get to write that off. Your business does. And so if you move it over into the ownership of the business, even if you're paying the exact same amount into the mortgage or the exact same amount to the business every year to maintain occupancy of that property, you're paying it into your future because it's a business, and your business has an ability to write off associated costs. So if your business has to fix the business has to redo the kitchen, well, the business has to redo the kitchen. It gets to say, hey, over the course of the year, we had $40,000 paid to us in rent or revenue for this property paid into us, but we had to borrow an additional $20,000 to redo the kitchen, so that $40,000 that you see come into this company did not come in as profit, right? Whereas if you want to do the exact same thing, you're paying your mortgage, you're getting equity based on what the market says. You have to go borrow against what you owe to the house, and you have to now reestablish your mortgage, refinance it to be able to use that money in the future. So best thing to do is going to be, and I make the suggestions to just about everyone that I talk to, start to live your life as a business. The first thing that you want to do is you start to live your life as a business. Understand that businesses have an understanding and an expectation of what you're going to do with your time. And so when you live your life as a business, you stop wasting time, right? A lot of people, if they don't have to go to work, they don't do anything. They don't get up, they don't go anywhere. But once you understand, hey, I'm living my life as a business, I need to manage my time. So even on my day off, I can still enjoy the things that I want to do, but I understand that they're in a time window. We have, is that SU34? If your LLC owns, say, your car, it's an asset for the company. If you own it personally, it's a liability. Technically speaking, say you have to replace the engine on it, the LLC, depending on state, as a business expense, and then it could be tax deductible depending. Exactly. So there's multiple factors that can allow you to do it. The other thing that you want to understand is that recent laws have made some significant changes that are very beneficial for owning a vehicle, especially a large vehicle, as it's part of your business. And you can do a lease. You want to lease a vehicle, you don't want to purchase a vehicle. The reason you want to lease it, you can pay so much up into it up front. And if it's a $110,000 vehicle, let's say you get a big SUV or something like that, when your business purchases it and your business takes out that loan, it can write that off in taxes. A few years ago, right before Trump left office, he made he added a tax law. Man, I don't want to misstate it, but essentially it was saying you could purchase anything over, I believe, 2 tons. It may have been over 6 tons, but I believe it was anything over 2 tons. And most SUVs are about 6,000 pounds. You can make anything, purchase any business equipment over 2 tons, and then you can write that off in that year at the time of purchase. Grant Cardone has a story he tells where they were about to have $30 million get taxed because of the revenue they made in a year. So he went out and he bought a jet. And he's like, I need to buy a jet because I don't want this $30 million to get taxed. If my company takes on something, I can write that entire amount off in that year, meaning I don't have to pay taxes. I don't have to claim this $30 million that we have sitting here. It's the same thing with taking ownership of a large vehicle. If you lease a large vehicle, your company is about to show profit. You lease a large vehicle. By getting this lease, you pay so much into it up front, but you write off the entire $110,000 for it in that year, reducing your taxable income. And by reducing your taxable income, that is the two largest expenditures for most companies. For pretty much every company is going to be payroll and taxes. Those are your two largest bills. If you can eliminate payroll, right? If you are payroll, if it's your company and you are the person who is on payroll, and then you can as well reduce your taxes as much as possible, it's a win-win. And that's what most businesses try to do, is to reduce their taxes. And what are known as high income individuals definitely do it. They do not pay taxes. They don't. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what somebody who's making $3.5 million a year, it doesn't matter what we change the tax code to. They're not going to pay it. They're not going to pay it because they don't have to. So why would I pay taxes if I make $3.5 million a year if I can turn around and invest $350,000 into my business, or start a charity that's in my name that I get money back from, invest in that charity, and then sit on the board of that charity, and my investment to that charity comes back to me anyway? Why would I not do those things? I want to hold on to my money. So I have all the different ways of being able to hold on to my money, and I do that by essentially giving it away. And when I say giving it away, I'm saying invest it or give it to charity, and then you reduce what your taxable income is. You're not going to see somebody who's making $5.5, $7 million a year, $120 million a year, however much, you're not going to see that individual pulling in that much money paying taxes. SU34. Here we go. Are we up, guys? Am I back up? Here we go. Are we up, guys? Am I back up? Can you see me? I apologize. Yes, SU, I saw you. All right. So, yeah. So you're right. So leasing helps converting debt into asset. R&D cost in the future of the business. Exactly. Pay yourself into the future. So it's better to invest into yourself than it is to give it to the government. Because all the government's going to do whenever you get cut a check, the government is simply taking your money and then they're investing it, and then they give you a portion of it back. So they use your money for the year, and then they gave it back to you with no interest, right? Yeah, I did lose connection for a moment. I'm sorry about that. I'm on mobile, and I have my, in the background, I have my do not disturb turned on, but some things try to break through. Thank you anyway. So now, what are some of the things that we learn about this? Well, one of the things that's going to be important, this is what I share with people. The knowledge is good to have, but if you don't have the discipline to implement it, what good is the knowledge, right? And so early on in this journey that my wife and I are on, when we were trying to move forward, with doing our investments and starting the business. One of the things that was really, really big for us, one of the things that was important for us, was we knew the things we needed to do. It was a matter of doing them. Now, for me, I was a guy who worked in sales for many years. I've also worked in leadership and management. And so one of the things when I was originally getting into house flipping was I needed to contact customers. It was that simple. I needed to make calls. It doesn't matter if I know the speech. It doesn't matter if I know where to get the cash. It doesn't matter if I know everything ins and out. It doesn't matter if I know the people. None of those things happen. None of those things mattered if I'm not performing the behaviors. That's one of the big things for me. One of the biggest things is going to be, we can find people to help us invest the money, right? We can find people to help us grow. One of the things is about creating a legacy. The big thing is that we're looking to create a legacy, but it starts with our behaviors, right? It starts with what we're prepared to do, how committed we're prepared to be, and that's really, really big. So when we talk about, hey, I have $4,000, what do I do with those $4,000? You invest them. You want to invest those $4,000, but you want to invest them appropriately. As many things as you can move over into a business. And this is important, people. As you just said it a moment ago, you want to improve your credit worthiness. But bigger than your credit worthiness is you want to get that business set up to a way where you can leverage. Leverage is better than credit. And if you don't get it, you don't get it until you know, until you are living in and experiencing what leverage is. It's a lot. It's very difficult to explain. But leverage is essentially anyone in here who has a 401k. I believe the standard amount to leverage starts at about $2,000, right? And you have to move money out of the 401k into a personal account. You're not allowed to do it in a 401k, or I believe you can do it in an IRA possibly. But what you do is you take your money, you move it over into an account, and around $2,000, they give you about 50% of that money to work with leverage. Meaning, let's say you have $2,000 in the account and you invest, and it's sitting in there as cash, right? You want to always invest in dividend securities. You want your securities to be securities that pay dividends. The reason you do is because you can always turn that dividend right back around and reinvest into it. It's called DRIP. Now, here's the thing. The reason that you put the $2,000 in, you invest like $1,000, right? But because you have $2,000 in there, the firm will extend you an additional $500. When the firm extends this $5,000 to invest, I apologize for that again. When the firm extends this $5,000 or this $500 to $5,000 to invest, you can buy stock with it, right? We're going to work with some small numbers to start. So let's say you buy a stock. You have $1,000 of your own money. You buy a stock. They give you $1,000 to use. You take $500 of it. You don't take 100% of it. You take half of it, and you say, I'm going to buy stock at $10 a share. And so you buy 50 share of this stock at $10 a share. All right. So now you're holding on. You have $500 worth of securities. You turn around. You give it a couple of months or however long. Boom, the stock goes up. It's worth $11. You turn around. You're going to make $1 a share. So your $500 is now going to come back to you at $550, right? Whatever that case may be. This is a very simple scenario, but this is leverage because even though you pay interest on that money that you're using is a lot smaller than the return that you made, right? So it's a couple of dollars to use those $1,000. Now, as you get bigger, now let's say we're going from $2,000 to $20,000. And from $20,000 to $25,000, $50,000, $75,000. There is an interest rate on it. However, it works in your favor if you're able to invest that money into something and then get the return on it. Here's what's really, really big is you can borrow against those securities, and this is how the millionaire moves work. This is millionaire moves for the masses. And this is one of the things, I don't know if you're still on here, Alexander, but this is one of the things that I would suggest if you have a portfolio of securities. One of the things millionaires do is they simply go and say, hey, I want to borrow 70% of what I have there, right? Line of credit based on cash. Exactly. Even if you don't plan on spending the money, you can use the money. You're not going to use the leverage lines of credit, and you can use that to reinvest for returns. That's exactly what you do. And so remember what I said before about moving your house into LLC, right? So here's what the rich people do, which is why they're not concerned about how a house is purchased. Do I do one-on-one? Yes, sir, we can do one-on-one. That's why I'd asked the question before of what your interests were. We can definitely do a one-on-one. You can see the email on the channel. If you go to the description on the page, you can see where you can click. It'll say reveal email. It'll show you my email. You can email me directly, and we can set up some one-on-one communication. And so one of the things that's going to be important, what you have to understand is the way millionaires work is they borrow against that cash, right? They leverage against that cash. And then they take that leverage and they go out, and if a house costs $3 million, well, Well, there's a whole bunch of paperwork and stuff to go through. Someone's trying to sell this house for $3 million. They take out 2.5, maybe they take out 2.25, and then they go to the person and say, hey, let's kill all of the paperwork. Let's not go through all that. Here's $2.25 million cash. And they make that purchase, and they create an LLC for the sole purpose of purchasing that house. They purchased that house through the LLC. The LLC now has an asset worth $3 million, right? And they borrowed that money. They leveraged that money from their balance that they're holding in securities. And so they take that leverage, they go back to the bank. They say the bank, as a business now, hey, my business has a $3 million asset. We want to continue to grow the business. We want to take on more properties. We want to whatever. We want to fix the property up. We want to advertise. We need to hire. The business wants to take out a loan. And so now the business takes out a loan using the house as collateral. But here's the thing. When we borrow against our house, we borrow against the equity of the house, right? So when we borrow against the equity of the house, if it's a $3 million house, we can get $800,000 for every million. That's going to get us, I believe, like $2.4 million. And then we have that to work with. However, because it's a business borrowing against the house and it's an ongoing business, the business has this asset, but this asset has future value, which is greater than the $3 million that it's valued at, and they own it outright. So they can borrow a larger amount. But essentially, let's just deal with the house. You borrow $2.4 million against the business borrows $2.4 million against this asset. You take the $2.25 million that you leveraged and you pay yourself back, right? You pay that back into your cash equivalent or your cash leverage. And now, even when you pay that back, you're still sitting with $150,000. Do what you want to. Throw it back into the business, actually renovate the property, whatever you want to do with that. But as you continue to grow, as you continue to do that, and these securities become larger and larger and larger, you're now able to borrow, buy through the business, pay yourself back. I'm sorry, not borrow. You're able to leverage, buy through the business, pay yourself back, and then still have this business. So you now, with no money out of your pocket, this didn't cost you anything. You leveraged what's already a part of your future. You now have a new business with a $3 million asset and a loan that sits on the opposite side of the balance sheet that it gets to write off as it pays off every year. And then you on the other side still have cash in hand to invest. So you now have a business with an asset, which is going to be more valuable than the liability of that home. And plus, millionaires, when you get to having this amount of money, you're not spending your whole life in this property anyway, right? Because most people look at, hey, I bought a house. I own a house now. And so I'm going to live in it, right? I'm going to be in this house. My wife and I are currently working. We're still building on establishing this larger line of securities to be able to make larger purchases in the future. But what happened is that when we buy the house, we move in the house, here's where I live. Well, as you continue to grow your money, right? Millionaires, as they start to, because the whole thing is, the whole point of wealth, the whole point of building wealth is to be where you want to be, when you want to be, with who you want to be with. The best way to do that is put your money to work for you. So when your money goes to work for you, when that $4,000 a month is being invested, and if you want to start by investing in securities, you can build you can go to any one of these investment firms, sit your money with them and be like, hey, I'm gonna put $250,000 in to invest with you, and I want to open a margins account. It's pretty simple. They give you a little bit of paperwork, tell you don't do day trading. If you do day trading, they turn off your margins account. It has to go to something else. There's a bigger cost, blah, 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 blah. But day trading is not for most people. What you want to do is you want to have dividend paying securities. So what you do is you set up your accounts, you get your dividends, and as your money grows, it starts to pay for itself. So at a certain point, and I believe it's $25,000, they give you about four times. And around, I believe, $25,000, and I have to look up my numbers to be exact on every security, But what happens is you invest $25,000, they give you $100,000 to work with. Now, do you want to go out and gamble with $100,000 of somebody else's money? No. But what can you do? As long as you have the balance in your account to cover how much of the margin money you are using to invest, and not all securities can be purchased on margins, as long as you have the money in your account to cover it, if it starts to drop and they do what's called what is referred to as a call, they say, hey, we need to call you on it. You owe us $100,000. You have $75,000 invested, and you only have $25,000 in your account, and these stocks are kind of taking a downturn. We need you to put more money into your account to cover this difference. And so you may have to put in whatever the difference is of what you have invested and what the future value is looking like for that. They may say, hey, you have to invest another $20,000 or whatever the case may be. But here's the thing. As you continue to do that, and you continue to use those margins and you grow, the return on whatever you invest belongs to you. So if you invest, let's go back to the original example. If you invest $500 and then you sell all of that stock and you put that whole $500 back in margins, you still have marginable funds to use, but you have this $50 you made. This $50 is yours. Buy back in. Buy back in with the 50 bucks. Now, you go from $1,000 to $10,000, buy back in with the 500. You go from 10,000 to 100,000, buy back in with the 5,000. So we're not talking about a huge, listen, I'm not one of these pie in the sky guys. I'm not going to tell you, listen, you take $2,000 and in a week, you're going to have $17,000 and then you can, no, that's not what we're doing. This is long term. We're paying into our future, but it gives you a way to pay into your future with one of my favorite movies of all time that starred Danny DeVito, which is called OPM, Other People's Money. Working with other people's money to build your future is a phenomenal thing. And these are the ways it works. But again, it starts with the discipline. Do we have the discipline to make the investment every month? Can we be investing more money? What are we spending money on that we could be investing that'll pay back to us in the future to exponentially grow what it is that we're trying to do? So moving these things out of our name into the name of the business, allowing for the business to work, significantly reduce the amount that we have to pay in taxes. And when we pay things, we pay it back to ourselves. The best way to be able to do that is to understand that we're going to invest. And investing in ourselves and investing in our businesses pays us better. For example, I was working with a gentleman. We weren't working originally with his originally, but we're kind of working together now. A gentleman moved in across the street from my wife and I. He had purchased a new home, younger guy. He was about 34 years old. He was a police officer. And so when he went to purchase his house, so what did you put in there? Facts. Discipline is what is all the biggest investors today, the lower level investors lack. Right. The lower level investors say versus lack. Got you. So one of the things that you have to, one of the things that happened when I was working with him, so he moves in, we're talking about the house, the purchase. We're kind of talking about, what are you looking to do with it? What does your future look like? And he wanted to get a couple of roommates. He wanted to do some other things. And so there's a new term now for roommates. You say you're 42. So Alexander, you should be old enough to remember when you could get a roommate, right? I'm about 10 years older than you are. So you can remember when I grew up watching Three's Company, which is essentially, it's a group of people who agree to move into a property. One person gets the lease on the property. Everyone else agrees to pay their amount. And then everyone just moves in and you just kind of live in the property together. Well, now they're like, hey, there's money for us to make. So the industry's passed these laws now. If there's multiple people living in the house, if they're not all in this relationship or not all a part of the same family, you have a responsibility to ensure that the other person has homeowners insurance, blah, 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 blah. If you're the owner of the property, you now have a tenant. If you have a tenant, you have to register it as a business. The amount of rent that they're paying to you has to be listed as income. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So now they call it house hacking versus just having a roommate. It just makes stuff cumbersome. So at any rate, to purchase the property, we're talking about some of the things that he wanted to do in the future. And then I talked to him about how he made the purchase. And whether he did a 10% down payment, 20% down payment to avoid PMI, what's going on. So he was telling me some of the things that he did. And he says, well, he took his, he borrowed the down payment. He had some money, but he needed to borrow some. And so I asked, okay, well, you work for the police department. You have the police union. I know you have a 401k. Did you borrow against your 401k? And he says, no, I didn't borrow from my 401k because the interest on my 401k was, I think he said like 9%. I said, so what did you do? He said, I borrowed it from a bank at 7%. So here's the problem. You're going to pay somebody. When you borrow money, you're going to have to pay someone back. So I asked, are you looking to leave working in the police department? Are you looking to quit sometime soon? Why would you not? And so he was like, no, I'm going to be here for a while. This is what I'm going to do. So the question for me became, why not borrow from yourself? Even if you're paying 9% interest on money that you borrowed from yourself, it's going back to you. Every time you pay that bill, you're paying it into your future. Why would you borrow that money from a bank or an institution where every time you pay that bill, you're never going to see it again? Forget about the fact that this should be something you were doing through an LLC anyway. You are borrowing money from someone else that is your money that you could have easily have borrowed and paid into your future. These are some of the things that we have to discuss, have to figure out. I believe everyone should be organizing themselves as a business. The difficulty with organizing yourself as a business from the original, from the get-go and making your first home purchase is that you have to start small because depending on the size of your 401k or whatever you're leveraging for your money, whatever accounts you're going to leverage for your money, you may start off with $50,000 to $70,000. And so if you don't want to live in a $100,000 home or a $100,000 home isn't available or a condo isn't available in the area you live in, then you're going to have to grow that some more in order to make that cash purchase and put it into the name of the LLC. But here's the thing, a mortgage is 30 years. And so if a mortgage is 30 years, what you have the ability to do in a lot less time is grow a business to the point that you can buy the house you want for cash in the name of the business and not take on these significant debts. So if you have the ability to pay a mortgage on a house at a cost of $4,000 a month, if you take that money and instead buy a lower cost condo or a lower cost townhouse, and then you invest that additional money into your business, when you borrow against that or when you leveraging that, we're talking about leveraging that to move into a big house a couple of years later, and then doing it again a couple of years later, we're looking in the area of about 7 to 10 years of you owning through your company the house that you want to have, plus additional properties, and all of them are assets, versus building this debt that's going to take you an additional 20 years to pay off and never be an asset to you. These are the types of things that are going to make more sense. Even if you want to make a conventional purchase of a home, not sure if you're still here, Alexander. If you want to make a conventional purchase of a home, if you take the first 12 months that you're making a conventional purchase of the home and you pay your mortgage payment and you do 2 of them, you knock about, got to pull my sheets up because I normally have these numbers written down based on the cost of a house. For a $500,000 loan, you knock off about $50,000 to $80,000 in interest, I believe, and I think you knock off about 8 months of the total. About 8 months of the total life of the loan. I would have to bring my numbers up to make sure I'm giving those to you correctly. Give me a moment. Yeah. I got the cash purchase with leverage. I would have to pull the document up, but I can run the exact numbers and get it for you. But essentially, being able to make that down payment and then your standard 10% down payment, but putting your additional money into your mortgage payment as principal only payment. And this is something that people miss. It's important. Whenever you're purchasing something in your name, one of the biggest disciplines is going to be budgeting, understanding to live below your means. What does it mean to live below your means? If you are making $10,000 to $15,000 a month, you understand that you're also going to be taxed. If you're a W-2 employee, you're being taxed. When you're in that tax bracket, a significant portion of your money is being taxed. You want to reduce your tax liability. Move as much as possible over to your 401k. Move as much as possible over to other IRAs. Do as many pre-tax deductions as you can possibly do. Pay for insurance and child care and everything that you could possibly pay for to reduce your taxable income. But when you're making that much money, when you get taxed, you're going to bring out of 15,000 bucks. I'm going to say you're probably going to lose about 18% of that to taxes. And so let me get my calculator because I cannot do this in my head that fast. And so if we're going to save 15,000 a month, and then we're going to multiply that by what you'll have left, which is going to be, if you get taxed at 18%, you're going to have 82% left, which means your take home is about $12,300. If your take home is about $12,300 and you're living off of that $12,300, right? Like if you have a car note for $785, you have a mortgage for $5,000. But Alexander, like I believe you said your mortgage is your only thing. And so if your mortgage is your only thing and you have $4,000 left, then you want to start to take that $4,000 and to grow that business. Like I'm saying, you want to invest that into that business, move that property over, and then live off of the benefits of that. But what you're looking at is when I say you need to live beneath your means, you're making $12,300 a month, right? If we go back to the 15,000 per year, just roughly, you're making $180,000 a year. If you're making $180,000 a year and you're living, if your life costs you $160,000 a year, you're living beyond your means because you don't take home $160,000 a year, right? You're taking home $12,300 a month. And then that's going to mean you're taking home $147,600. So we need to learn to live off a smaller percentage of what we bring home. If you're working a W-2 job, most companies already have where it's set up, where your 401k and your company ESPP or all of those things, they come out before you even get your check. So those things come out and your taxes come out. And so your budget needs to be written off of how much money actually gets deposited into your account. Now, when you get this money deposited into your account, there are different types of breakdowns. People say there's a 10-80-10 rule, and then there's a 50-30-20 rule. Like there are these different rules. You have to figure out where you want to go. The biggest thing, and this is why I say you have to run your life like a business. You have to organize your life as a business. Pay into your future, man. If you simply think 100%, $12,300 a month, I'm going to move into my future. Certain things are going to be in your immediate future, like food. I'm paying this into my future. How can I pay this into my future? Well, I'm going to get a subscription where my food is delivered to me every month. And because I shop at these 3 locations the most, as part of my dividend, as part of my investment, I'm investing in these companies. So when I make a purchase for me, I'm paying into my dividends. Every time I buy something from this company that keeps this company up and growing, I know I'm also buying something from me, because as a shareholder in this company, I am benefiting from it. I get it. It's not going to completely offset it, but you have to start to think like that. You have to start to think like the things that I bring into my life matter. So if I have to eat, why am I not making money off of the food that I'm eating? If I have to pay a gas bill, if I have to pay electric, if I have to pay water, whatever it is that I have to pay, why do I not own stock in these things that I'm paying? Because I'm paying for them anyway. So these are the suggestions that I'm making. These are the things that I am suggesting that if we want to live our life as a business, if we truly want to have an understanding of how to formulate our life and work with our finances, these are going to be the big things to focus on, right? So we want to sit down, we want to take a look at where we are, we want to develop the discipline and the skill sets to be able to move forward, and we want to make sure that we're following those things. And here's the great thing about a business. The great thing about running your life as a business is you get to manage your free time. You get to write it out for yourself. You get to say, I'm doing this at this time, I'm doing this at this time, and then I'm doing this at this time, right? Eminem is a rapper. It's famous for being known to only work 9 to 5. And so when 5 o'clock hits, Eminem heads out. And that's what happens when you run your life like a business. And so my life now, my family's coming in. My wife has been out with my children and my mother-in-law, and they're now headed back in. So this means that my time here on this live is coming to an end. But as always, guys, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for participating and being a part. I want to encourage you to continue to do the work that you've been doing, continue to grow. And the biggest thing to always remember, guys, is that you need to show up, you need to blow up, and then watch yourself continue to grow up. God bless. I'll see you next time.